Welcome to Racing X. Today we're counting down our picks for the best Simcade racing games that you should check out. And without further ado, let's dive right in.
One high.
NASCAR 25. Okay, this one is shaping up to be interesting, especially since it's being handled by the same team behind iRacing. To me, that smells like a bridge. Hook console players with a polished NASCAR experience and maybe convert some of them into full-blown sim racers. On paper, that's smart. It's like a gateway drug for serious racing. And if they pull it off, it could expand iRacing's base without feeling too preachy. But don't take that as a guarantee. Execution still matters. Let's see if they can deliver a console-friendly NASCAR experience and one that appeals to the hardcore after launch. Dakar 18. Alright, this one takes itself much more seriously compared to its successor, Dakar Desert Rally, which went the more arcadey route. Here, the focus isn't on flashy physics or action-packed collisions, it's about simulating the actual Dakar rally experience. And the driving physics aren't mind-blowing, sure, but that's not exactly the point. The game focuses on nailing the feeling of navigating with no defined track or circuit, relying on roadbooks and orientation like the real event. So yeah, if you're curious about what it's like to tackle one of the toughest rallies in the world, then this is the game. Wreckfest 2. Now, this one is still in early access, so don't expect it to be as polished as the first game just yet. And for those of you who don't know, this isn't your typical Simcade with sports cars gliding around circuits. This is banger racing. It's total chaos, with smashing, pushing, and crashing. And you know what? The driving physics have a bit more realism than you'd expect, and the damage modeling is fantastic. In short, it's arcade in design, but simulation under the hood. So yes, if you want a wreck-heavy racing experience with great physics, this could be it. JDM, Japanese Drift Master. Alright, this one isn't your typical racing game. It's more of an open-world drifting simulator wrapped in a story. Think Need for Speed, but instead of street racing, it's laser-focused on drifting culture. So yeah, you'll cruise the streets and pretend that you're the main character in a drifting manga. And what makes it extra interesting is the driving model. You can actually choose whether you want a pure arcade experience or lean toward Simcade handling. So yeah, it's arcade in its design, but with enough Simcade flavor sprinkled in to keep it engaging. So for drift fans, this one's a no-brainer. NASCAR Heat 5. Now, this game doesn't get much love from hardcore NASCAR sim fans because they're still clinging to NASCAR Racing 2003 like it's the Bible. But for newer players who just want a modern NASCAR experience, this game is currently the go-to choice. And since NASCAR 21 turned out to be a total disaster, Heat 5 feels like the only proper option right now. And yeah, the physics aren't revolutionary, but it does the job. And the content covers the bases well enough. So yes, if you want a decent modern NASCAR game, this one is still the go-to title. Project Cars 3. Okay, this is one of those games that instantly split the fan base. Project Cars 2 players hated it because it ditched a lot of the sim elements for something more accessible and arcade-like. But here's the twist. If you actually go in expecting a Simcade game, it's a blast. The physics are solid enough to keep it grounded, but you don't have to worry about all the overly detailed sim elements that slow things down. So yeah, as a sim racing title, it's a failure, but as a Simcade racer, it's actually a really fun, underrated game. Gran Turismo Sport. Alright, this game is now completely overshadowed by GT7, which improves on almost every aspect. But that doesn't mean Sport is unplayable. If anything, it offers a simpler, more streamlined structure that some players may actually prefer. There's less fluff, fewer distractions, and more focus on just jumping into races or hot lapping. So yeah, it feels outdated compared to the newer entry, but it's still a solid game in its own right, and at this point, it's really for hardcore Gran Turismo fans or anyone who doesn't mind enjoying an older but still great Simcade racer. MXGP 2021, the official motocross video game. Okay, this game is definitely a bit niche. Most players who want dirt bike fun usually gravitate toward the more arcadey MX versus ATV series, while those chasing higher levels of realism tend to stick with MX versus ATV Reflex, or MX bikes. That leaves the MXGP series sitting squarely in the middle of the spectrum. It doesn't lean too hard into simulation, but it's not a total arcade experience either. That balance is exactly why it earns a spot on this list. It's approachable, still challenging, and a great pick for motocross fans who want something in between. Grid Legends. Now, the Grid series is arguably the most famous Simcade racing franchise out there, though you wouldn't think so these days, since most players either drift toward Need for Speed for pure arcade action or jump into Gran Turismo and Forza Motorsport for more serious Simcade experiences. That leaves Grid sitting in an odd middle ground, but honestly, it does that job really well. This one in particular leans closer to the arcade side, with fast-paced racing, cinematic presentation, and plenty of variety. So yeah, if you want something accessible yet stylish, this one is a very solid pick.
Into right 3 short and left 4 short 30.
WRC Generations. Okay, this game actually made it into the sim racing games list too, because it can swing either way depending on how you play it. If you turn off every assist, it's sim enough to be featured alongside the serious rally titles. But flick them back on, and suddenly it transforms into a very fun rally Simcade experience. And the best part? It works great with a controller, so you don't need a full rig to enjoy it. So yeah, it's as punishing or forgiving as you make it, making it perfect for casuals and hardcore players alike.
Left 4 opens.
Grid Autosport. Now, this is probably the most sim entry in the entire Grid franchise, which is exactly why it caught so many people off guard. Coming right after Grid 2, which was a straight-up arcade racer, a lot of fans felt betrayed when the series suddenly leaned into Simcade territory. Because of that, the game got overlooked at launch. But honestly, it's aged really well, offering more depth than the modern Grid titles. And what's even cooler is that it's been ported to the Nintendo Switch and even mobile, which is kinda insane for a Simcade racer of this scale. Grid 2019. Alright, this one brings back handling that feels pretty similar to the original Grid, which makes it a solid entry for anyone who loved that balance of accessibility and realism. That said, Grid Legends outshines it in almost every way, offering more content, polish, and overall variety. Still, that doesn't mean this one is unplayable. I mean, as a Simcade, it still delivers good racing, especially if you prefer circuits and track-based events over street-based tracks. And honestly, if you catch it on sale, it's definitely worth adding to your library as a fun, no-fuss Simcade racer.
Slight left, 70. Crest, 50.
EA Sports WRC. Okay, this game, much like WRC Generations, can be whatever you want it to be, a sim or a Simcade, depending on how you set it up. Turn off all the assists, switch to cockpit view, and hook up a wheel, and suddenly it feels like a proper rally sim. But if you'd rather take it easy, turn on every assist, switch to third person, and play with a controller. It instantly becomes a very solid Simcade experience. And not only that, this is also the hottest WRC game right now, and it's worth checking out either way.
Slowing, crest to late 3.
MotoGP 25. Now, MotoGP doesn't enjoy the same popularity in the US as Formula 1 or NASCAR, and naturally, the games don't either. Still, this latest entry tries hard to bring in more players by being more accessible than past titles. The handling feels smoother, and the overall package is less intimidating for newcomers. Hardcore fans might still crave more depth, but if you just want an official MotoGP experience with the current riders, teams, and tracks, this is the one to get. Simply put, if you're a MotoGP fan, this one's a no-brainer. F1 25. Alright, this one is the hottest Formula 1 game right now, no doubt about it. It's cleaned up a lot compared to last year. Better handling, sharper presentation, and just a smoother overall experience. And yes, let's be real, it's not the most hardcore, ultra-realistic F1 sim out there. But that's the point. It's designed to be accessible and fun first. You don't need to be some esports driver to enjoy it, you just need to love Formula 1. So yeah, if you're an F1 fan and want the freshest way to dive into the season, then this is it. Wreckfest. Now this one is hands down the go-to game for banger racing and destruction derby. Forget pristine Ferraris and polished circuits. This is all about chaos, metal crunching, and survival of the toughest. And what really sets it apart is the insanely good vehicle and damage physics. Every crash looks and feels brutal, making it way more immersive than almost anything else out there. Think of it as flat out, but modern, grittier, and way more realistic. And sure, it's not your traditional racing Simcade, but that's exactly the point. So, if you want something different, then this is it. Shift 2, Unleashed. Okay, this is one of those games that's slowly fading into obscurity. And when most people mention it, it's usually described as that weird Need for Speed game that didn't feel like Need for Speed. And honestly, they're right. It never fit the Need for Speed mold, which is why it never reached the same fame as the others. But here's the thing. If you look at it strictly as a Simcade racer with some story, it's actually pretty solid. Great sense of speed, decent physics, and enough challenge to keep it interesting. So yeah, give it a try. Ride 5. Now, this is easily one of the most popular motorcycle games right now, arguably even more popular than the MotoGP titles. And the reason is simple. It offers way more bike types and delivers a much broader overall experience. Where MotoGP is laser focused on its sport, Ride 5 feels like the full package for bike enthusiasts. On top of that, this latest entry is the best so far, fixing a lot of issues from the previous games while making the gameplay more accessible for newcomers. So yeah, if you could only choose one bike game to play, then this is it. Forza Motorsport. Alright, this title is now positioned as the main rival to Gran Turismo 7. And let's be real, it's basically the closest thing Xbox players can get to Sony's flagship racing series. But don't expect them to be on the same level though. Gran Turismo feels like it's made by true automotive enthusiasts who live and breathe cars, while Forza Motorsport often feels like it was made just to compete with it. But still, it's a solid Simcade racing game with great visuals and physics, and for Xbox owners, it's obviously the go-to choice. Dirt 3. Okay, this game makes this list instead of the newer Dirt 5, and there's a good reason for that. Dirt 5 went way too far into arcade territory and lost what made Dirt games special in the first place. It's too arcadey for rally fans, yet not exciting enough for arcade players. This one, on the other hand, still captures that mix of rally authenticity and Simcade fun. And you can even play it on modern Xbox consoles, so revisiting it is actually pretty easy. So yeah, if you're feeling nostalgic, this is the one to go back to. Forza Motorsport 7. Alright, this game might be gone from official stores, but that doesn't mean it's impossible to get. I mean, if you really want it, you can still hunt down a Steam key through third-party sellers or even grab a physical copy off Amazon. And honestly, it's still worth picking up, even today. Not only is it a solid Simcade racer, but it also happens to be the last Forza Motorsport game that supports split screen. That means you can actually race side by side with a friend, assuming you have any, of course. So yeah, for couch racers, this one's a gem.
And right 4 through dip. And left 4.
Dirt 4. Okay, this one is the last proper Dirt game before the series went full arcade and started disappointing longtime fans. This one still carries the soul of Dirt, balancing rally authenticity with Simcade accessibility. And in my opinion, it's the most fun rally Simcade title out there if you want something fun that doesn't feel as punishing or overly serious like the WRC titles. So yeah, it's approachable, fun, and still gives you that rally thrill without the headache. And yes, definitely ignore the purists who swear RBR is the only real rally game. They're not watching this video anyway. Grid 2008. Alright, this game, also known as Race Driver Grid, was the very first title in the Grid series, and honestly, it set the tone perfectly. I mean, this game is still remembered as one of the best racing titles of its era. Back then, people weren't as obsessed with hardcore sim racing as they are today, so naturally, a polished Simcade like this absolutely dominated. Seriously, the handling, the style, and the variety made it stand out, and it quickly became a fan favorite. So if you can still track down a copy, this one's a must-play. Gran Turismo 7. Okay, this is one of those games where its label depends on who you ask. Normies will call it a full-blown sim, while most sim racers slots it firmly into the Simcade category, and then you've got the self-proclaimed hardcore sim racers who never left their basement or touched a steering wheel in real life who dismiss it as an arcade racer. But regardless of where you position it, GT7 is still a fantastic driving simulator, even if it's not the most hardcore racing sim. And that's exactly why it belongs in this Simcade list. It strikes the perfect balance. F1 2020. Now, this title might surprise some of you by showing up here, especially since it's kinda outdated right now. But the truth is, this one is still considered the best F1 game to date. Just look at the high Metacritic and Steam scores. Reviewers and players actually agree on something for once. I mean, the gameplay, handling, and career mode all hit that sweet spot. And fun fact, this was the last F1 game developed by Codemasters before being acquired by EA. So yeah, now you can connect the dots yourself on why it still feels so special today. So do you agree with our picks? Check out these other videos from us and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.